Have you ever been hurt by someone you loved the most? Imagine your own mother telling you, "Leave this house. I don't want to see you again." You leave with nothing. No money. No home. No family. Years pass. You build a new life. You become a doctor. Then one ordinary morning, a new patient walks into your office. You look at her face. Your heart stops. The patient is your own mother. She does not recognize you, but you recognize her immediately. What would you do? Would you walk away? Or would you help the woman who once turned her back on you? This is the story of Ethan and the power of forgiveness. Part 1: The day everything changed. Ethan was only 16 years old. He lived in a small town with his mother, Linda. His father had died when Ethan was 8. Life was never easy after that. Linda worked long hours at a local factory. She left home early every morning. She returned late every evening. She was always tired, always worried, always thinking about money. Ethan understood that life was difficult. He tried to help. He cleaned the house. He cooked simple meals. He studied hard. He dreamed of becoming a doctor one day. His teachers believed in him. They often said, "Ethan, you have a bright future." He smiled every time he heard those words. But things became harder when Linda lost her job. Bills started to pile up. The electricity was turned off more than once. Sometimes they had very little food. The stress changed Linda. She stopped smiling. She became impatient. Even small problems made her angry. One evening, Ethan returned home carrying an envelope. He looked excited. "Mum," he said, "I have wonderful news." Linda looked up without smiling. "What is it?" "I won a scholarship. They will pay for my medical school." Ethan expected his mother to hug him. Instead, she looked at him silently. Then she said something that shocked him. "Medical school? You think we can afford that?" Ethan held up the letter. "I don't need money. The scholarship pays everything. I can finally become a doctor." Linda stood up. Her eyes filled with tears. "You still don't understand. I need you here. I can't pay the rent alone. I can't survive by myself." Ethan walked closer. "I'll study. I'll work part-time. I'll help you. We can do both." But Linda was no longer listening. Years of stress, years of fear, years of loneliness exploded in one terrible moment. She pointed at the front door. "If you leave for that university, don't ever come back." The room became silent. Ethan thought she didn't mean it. "Mum, I'm serious. You choose your dream, or this family." Ethan felt his heart break. He looked down at the scholarship letter. He had dreamed about this moment his entire life. Slowly, tears rolled down his face. "I don't want to lose you." Linda looked away. "Then stay." Neither of them spoke again. That night, Ethan packed one small bag. Before sunrise, he quietly walked out of the house. He looked back one last time. His mother never came to the window. That was the last time he saw her. For many years. Part 2: A New Life. University was not easy. Although his tuition was free, Ethan still needed money for food, books, and rent. He worked evenings at a small cafe. On weekends, he cleaned offices. Some nights, he slept only 4 hours. But he never gave up. Whenever life became difficult, he remembered his father's words. A good heart is stronger than a hard life. Those words gave him strength. Years passed. Ethan graduated at the top of his class. His professors were proud of him. Soon, he became a doctor at one of the city's largest hospitals. His patients trusted him. His colleagues respected him. Everyone knew him as a kind and patient doctor. But behind every smile, there was one painful memory. His mother. Every birthday, he wondered where she was. Every Christmas, he hoped she was safe. Many times, he wanted to visit her. But he remembered her final words. "Don't ever come back." So he stayed away. One rainy Monday morning, Ethan arrived at the hospital earlier than usual. The waiting room was already full. Children, parents, elderly patients. Everyone waited quietly. His nurse entered the office carrying a medical file. "Dr. Ethan," she said. "Your first patient is here." Ethan nodded. "Please send her in." The door opened slowly. An elderly woman walked inside with the help of a walking stick. Her hair was now completely gray. Her shoulders were bent with age. She looked tired. Very tired. Ethan looked up from the file. The moment he saw her face, time seemed to stop. It was Linda, his mother. She was standing only a few steps away. But she looked at him like he was a complete stranger. Linda slowly sat down in the chair across from Ethan. She looked tired. Her hands were shaking slightly. She smiled politely. "Good morning, doctor." Ethan forced himself to smile back. "Good morning." His heart was beating so fast that he could hear it. For a moment, he forgot how to speak. The woman sitting in front of him was the same mother who had raised him. The same mother who had taught him to read. The same mother who had kissed him good night when he was a child. And the same mother who had told him to leave home. She did not recognize him. 10 years had changed them both. Ethan took a deep breath. He looked at her medical file. Mrs. Linda Carter, 62 years old. He spoke calmly. "What brings you here today?" Linda smiled weakly. "I've been feeling tired for months. I get dizzy. I lose my breath when I walk. Sometimes I feel pain in my chest." Ethan listened carefully. He asked more questions. He checked her blood pressure. He listened to her heart. He ordered several blood tests. Throughout the examination, Linda apologized again and again. "I'm sorry. I must be taking too much of your time." Ethan shook his head. "You're not wasting my time. That's why I'm here." Linda smiled. "You remind me of someone." Ethan looked at her quietly. "Really? My son." She looked down at her hands. He wanted to become a doctor. Ethan felt a sharp pain inside his chest. What happened to him? Linda was silent for several seconds. Then she answered softly, I made the biggest mistake of my life. Part 4: A Mother's Regret. Linda looked out of the office window. Her eyes slowly filled with tears. I was afraid. I had lost my husband. I lost my job. I thought I would lose my home. I believed I needed my son to stay. She took a deep breath. But instead of telling him I was scared, I became angry. I pushed him away. Ethan listened without saying a word. I told him not to come back. I thought he would return after a few days. But he never did. She wiped away a tear. I looked for him later. I visited his old school. I asked his friends. But nobody knew where he had gone. Ethan looked at his mother's face. She looked older than her age. Not because of time. Because of regret. Linda smiled sadly. Every birthday, I wondered if he was eating well. Every Christmas, I prayed that he wasn't alone. I don't even know if he's alive. Ethan's eyes became wet. He wanted to tell her everything. He wanted to say, Mum, I'm here. But he stopped himself. Instead, he gently asked, if you could meet your son today, what would you say? Linda began to cry. Without hesitation, she answered, I would say, I'm sorry. I was wrong. You deserved a better mother. I hope you became the doctor you always wanted to be. And even if you never forgive me, I will always love you. The room became completely silent. Ethan looked away for a moment. He needed to hide the tears in his eyes. Then he smiled gently. I think your son would want you to take good care of yourself. Linda nodded. I'll try. Ethan stood up. I'd like to schedule a few more tests. I believe we can help you. Linda smiled gratefully. Thank you, Doctor. You've been very kind. As she slowly walked toward the door, she turned around one last time. You know, you really do remind me of my son. After she left the office, Ethan sat down quietly. He covered his face with both hands. For the first time in 10 years, he cried. Not because he hated his mother, but because he finally understood her pain. Thank you for learning English with this story. See you in the next English listening practice. Please subscribe to watch more story on Learn All About English.